What's up, everybody? CD here, back with another movie ranking video for you. Today we have Star Wars on the menu. Let's feast. Hey, what's up, guys? We're doing another ranking video today. As you can tell by the title, we're ranking all 11 Star Wars movies. So this is all 11 of the live action movies. I will not be including the Clone Wars movie in here. This is just going to be the live action films. So, excuse me. I do my thoughts on the Clone Wars real quick, just so you know. I like the TV show. I think is really good, and there's a number of episodes that I really like with the Clone Wars TV series. As far as a movie goes, I could do without the film, without the movie of Clone Wars. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But this is going to be all 11 of the live action Star Wars movies from worst to best. And just as a disclaimer, guys, this is my personal list, okay? So before you come at me with your hate comments, whatever, not that I really care, but just know that this is just my opinion. If your list looks different than mine, that's totally fine. I get it. It's the subjectivity of film, okay? We can have our own opinions and we can talk about our opinions, but just be respectful, all right? So let's get into it. It's going to be a controversial list. I can already tell you that. There's going to be some ranking here of some of these films that are going to surprise a lot of people. So I can already tell you that. So let's get into it. Coming in at number 11 is Rise of Skywalker. This movie is an abomination to Star Wars. It's a disgrace to Star Wars. I hate everything about this film. I give it half a star on my letterbox. So yeah, it's there's literally nothing about this movie that I enjoy. Literally nothing about this movie that I enjoy. So yeah, it can kick rocks as far as I'm concerned. I hate it and never care to see it again. Moving on to my number 10, we have The Force Awakens, another movie that I quite frankly hate. Force Awakens offers me nothing good and gives me everything bad. It also makes some really bad decisions that butchers the franchise. It gives me an entirely new cast of people that I don't care about. I don't care about Rey. I don't give a crap about Finn. Kylo Ren is the biggest joke of a Sith Lord ever in Star Wars. A freaking girl in Rey who's never trained a day in her entire life can pick up a lightsaber and outduel a guy who's supposed to represent a Sith Lord. I mean, we go from Vader to that. That's ridiculous. And all the people are like, well, she was a Palpatine, man. Palpatine had to train too. Palpatine had to train too. He didn't just, as a kid, walk over to a lightsaber and pick one up and master it. He had to train too. So no, that's not a valid reason for why she should just be able to pick up a lightsaber or use the Force when she hasn't been trained to do it. Palpatine had to train too. There you go. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on to, my rating of Force Awakens. I give this 1 star just because it's not as outrageous as Rise of Skywalker is, and it at least feels like Star Wars-ish, and we get Han Solo in there, even though he's horribly used. So there you go. Moving on to number 9, we have The Phantom Menace. This is easily the worst of the prequels, in my opinion. It's really slow. It's a slow burn. It's boring. It's got nothing to say. And it's essentially just a political movie about a Senate race, trade federations, and separatist leaders gone rogue. none of which anybody cares about, and none of which do anything for the saga or the franchise. The only two cool things in this movie are one, the pod racing scene, and two, the lightsaber duel at the end. Outside of that, this movie really offers me nothing. So yeah, I give it 1.5 star. It is more enjoyable, more entertaining than Force Awakens, but it's still a pretty bad film in my opinion. So yeah, it comes in at number 9. Moving on to my number 8, we have Solo. Solo is entertaining, and I have a good time with it. But in the back of my mind, every time I see this movie, I'm always asking why. Why do we have this movie? What This is essentially a pointless movie that doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to exist. It doesn't tell us anything about Solo that we didn't know or that we didn't need to know. And it gives us the hero's journey before the hero's journey with Solo. So it's just kind of a waste of a film. It's entertaining, and that's why I give it 2 stars. It is rewatchable on a bad day, but it's entertaining. So it comes in at number 8. I would be more likely to sit down and rewatch Solo than the Phantom Menace, because Solo is at least entertaining throughout the entire runtime. Phantom Menace has 2 good spots, and that's it. So moving on to my number 7, I have The Last Jedi. Now, I know a lot of people hate The Last Jedi because they feel it butchers the Luke Skywalker character, makes him afraid of Kylo Ren. That was actually introduced in Force Awakens. Go back and rewatch Force Awakens with the audio on and your listening ears, and you'll catch that they're the ones that actually introduced the concept that Luke was afraid of the dark side that he sensed in Kylo Ren. So you have Force Awakens to thank for that, not The Last Jedi. The way I view The Last Jedi is essentially a parody of Force Awakens. And it's essentially the results of the bad decisions of Force Awakens. That's what Last Jedi is. But it kind of pokes fun at that. So therefore it's entertaining to me. You get a lot more Luke. He actually has character development in The Last Jedi. We get a cameo from Yoda, which is cool. The Force projection at the end shows, one, how powerful Luke was, and also B, how pathetic Kylo Ren was. So at the same time. So there you go. It comes in at number 7. I give it 2.5 stars. It's a decent film overall, has its problems. Finn should have died, to be honest, but yeah, it is what it is. Moving on to my number 6. This one's going to be controversial, but my number 6 is actually A New Hope. Here's the thing. I'm not as big on A New Hope as a lot of other people are. To me, it drags. It's really slow. We get way more of R2-D2 and C-3PO in the beginning of this film than we needed, to be honest. It doesn't start picking up until the 3rd act. We're not introduced to Luke until 15 minutes into the film. And it gives us one of the worst lightsaber duels in all Star Wars between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. I get that it was their first one that they did. I get that. I understand it. But it's still there, and you still have to watch it when you see this film. And it negatively affects my viewing experience because I know what both of those characters are capable of. So, yeah. There you go. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it, but it comes in at number 6. Still a decent film. I still give it 2.5 stars. It has some things going for it. 3rd act is fun. It when it picks up and it gets entertaining, but I don't think it's some masterpiece like a lot of other people do. So it comes in at number 6. Moving on to my number 5. This one's also going to be controversial, but number 5, I have Attack of the Clones. There's a lot of enjoyable stuff in this film. We get a lot of lightsabers, a lot of action in it. We get to see Yoda use a lightsaber for the first time. We get to see Mace Windu use the lightsaber for the first time. Obi-Wan is much better handled in this film. So yeah, it's entertaining to me. I get some of the criticism, the romance, the dialogue there is really bad. I don't like how Dooku is used. He's not really a bad guy, so you don't really hate him. You're not really cheering against him all that much. And we're not even introduced to him until an hour into the film. So I have some problems there. But overall, I really enjoy this film. I give it 3.5 stars, and I don't apologize for that. Again, you don't like it, you don't have to like it. But this is my ranking. I have a fun time with Attack of the Clones. It's actually serving a purpose. Unlike the Phantom Menace, it's a story that's actually doing something for the saga. There's actual character development for the lead characters, and the story, the concept is actually serving a purpose for the saga. It's actually advancing the Skywalker and the entire Star Wars saga. So there you go. Coming in at my number 4, we have Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is a great film. I love this movie. The first act, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't feel like it meshes well or harmonizes well with the rest of the film. I would definitely change how that first act is executed. Outside of the first act, everything else here is money, and I'm all for it. So the third act is one of the best third acts in any film, in my opinion. So I love Return of the Jedi. I give it 4.5 stars, but there's stuff in the first act that I would change. But overall, I have a great time with it, and I have a really positive viewing experience. So it comes in at my number 4. Moving on to number 3. And just to let you guys know up front, all 3 of my top 3 are 5-star masterpieces. So in case you're upset with how I rank my number 3 or my number 1 or number 2, just realize all 3 of these are 5-star masterpieces for me. It's just a matter of which one does more. That's it. And for me, my number 3, I have Rogue One. It's a great film. Subjectively speaking, it's a perfect film. There's nothing about Rogue One that I would change. I love how Vader is used. I love the characters in here much better than the characters in the sequel saga. I love the sacrifice. The ending here is fantastic. The tempo, the pace is really good. Good acting performances all around. It's subjectively speaking, a perfect film. Moving on to my number 2, I have The Empire Strikes Back. Now, I know that most people consider this the best Star Wars movie. And objectively speaking, it is the best Star Wars movie. Objectively speaking. Subjectively speaking, it's still a perfect film. I still give it 5 stars. There's not a thing I would change about The Empire Strikes Back. I love it. It just so happens that my number 1 does a little bit more for me personally than Empire does. But that doesn't affect Empire. Empire's still a perfect film for me, subjectively speaking. I have a perfect viewing experience when I watch this movie. So what's your problem with it being my number 2? There you go. So obviously my number 1 is Revenge of the Sith. The reason this is my number 1 is this was the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. I saw it in theaters when it came out in 2005, and this is the movie that made me a Star Wars fan. I would not be a Star Wars fan without this film. It introduced me to all these characters. Obi-Wan has been one of my favorite movie characters since I saw this movie. It's got great action, the best lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars with Anakin and Obi-Wan on Mustafar. Just a lot of lightsaber action, meaningful story here, really deep discussion, philosophically speaking, a really powerful story being told here. And a dark film. This is probably one of, if not the darkest Star Wars film. So Rogue One's up there too. But Yeah, I love everything about Revenge of the Sith. Is it flawless? Objectively speaking, no, it's not. There's problems that I can see and be aware of, objectively speaking, when I watch this film. But subjectively speaking, it's a perfect film, and there's nothing about it that I would change. Flaws and all, I wouldn't change anything about this movie. It is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time, and it is one of my favorite films of all time. It's easily my top 10 all time, maybe in my top 5. So, yeah, there you go, guys. I know it's a controversial list. Hey, what can I say? You can make your own list and put it out on the interwebs, but this is my list. I stand by it. Just my thoughts on these movies. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want me to put out more movie reviews or more ranking videos, let me know as well. I did a Batman ranking video already, so go check that one out. But yeah, this is my ranking of all 11 Star Wars films. So thank you guys for watching, tuning in. Until next time, rock on.